Hello, this is Matt on the Moon Lambo channel. Well, the data keeps piling up and it continues to indicate that we are about to enter an insane period in crypto. I know it's been very bad for over 8 months now. This is a bottoming region though, and we ain't gonna be staying here for long. Take a look at this data now. Here's the headline from the Crypto Basic. XRP whale withdrawals hit 26% on Coinbase as 228 million XRP leaves Binance and Upbit. So what we're seeing is that on major exchanges, including Binance, which is the world's largest exchange by volume, boatloads of XRP is going off the exchange by the whales. That's the smart money out there. They behave differently than the typical lemming retail investors. And why would they do this? Well, they pull the XRP off and put it in cold storage because they don't plan to sell it anytime soon. This is happening at a moment where the market is down ridiculously. XRP is down over 70% right now from its all-time high in July of just last year. So they're obviously viewing this as an incredible opportunity. And this is at a moment where, as this headline indicates here, XRP is the most oversold ever. Look at this. This is from Crypto Basic also. XRP just printed its lowest monthly RSI ever. Here's what history says could come next. Spoiler alert, very big things. But before going further, I do want to be clear, I do not have a financial background of any kind. I am not offering financial advice, and you definitely should not buy or sell anything because of anything I say or write. I'm just an enthusiast who enjoys making YouTube videos about crypto-related topics, but just as a hobby and just for fun. All right, let's jump into this first piece here. This is exactly what you want to see. This has happened at every single bottom in history for XRP. Boatloads of whales purchasing XRP and taking it off of exchanges. Piece reads as follows. Large XRP holders are making up the share of withdrawals from major cryptocurrency exchanges. New CryptoQuant data shows whale outflows have surged on Coinbase, while XRP reserves on Binance and Upbit have dropped to multi-month lows. The on-chain data shows large amounts of XRP are leaving exchanges. However, it does not reveal where those tokens are going, meaning it cannot confirm accumulation or signal an imminent price rally. Yeah, so that's a conservative statement by them. Generally speaking, when this happens, and history bears this out, it's because the smart money doesn't want to sell at these prices. They want it to go way higher, and then they'll consider selling. It's meant that every time throughout history. So fine, you technically can't know exactly where it's going or what. Fine, technically. But so what? I don't think this time will be different, sir. Anyway, according to CryptoQuant analyst Amir Taha, whose name I probably butchered, whale-sized XRP withdrawals from Coinbase have increased notably over the past 2 weeks. On June 16th, transfers of more than 1 million XRP accounted for about 10% of Coinbase's total XRP outflow value. By July 1st, that share had climbed to 25.7%. So that's a huge jump. Essentially, in just over 2 weeks, the share of whale withdrawals more than doubled. The data suggests large holders are playing a much bigger role in XRP leaving the US-based exchange. Meanwhile, Binance showed a different pattern. During the same period, transfers of more than 1 million XRP consistently accounted for nearly half of the exchange's total XRP outflow value. By July 1st, whale withdrawals made up 49.6% of all XRP outflows. You see these numbers, right? That's massive. This is the smart money. This is how the smart money is behaving because they know the best is ahead for XRP. Anyway, the comparison suggests Coinbase is moving closer to Binance in terms of whale withdrawals. However, Binance has been dominated by large transfers for much longer. The data does not show where the withdrawn XRP is ultimately sent, and again, I don't think that matters. Still, it highlights that larger holders now account for a greater share of exchange withdrawals. And again, this is always what's happened at this moment in time. When you're in a point where, whether it's a bear market or a mid-cycle correction, this is always what has ended up happening, folks. And more proof of the purchases, look at spot XRP ETFs. Look at these weekly inflows. Green is inflow, red is outflow. There's almost no outflows. There's been 6 weeks of outflows in the history of spot XRP ETFs. Every single other week, all of them green, positive inflows. Absolutely massive. So they've been purchasing more as the price has gone lower. They're not losing confidence. They're not worried about this. They don't know where the bottom is. They're getting exposure for when this thing moves way, way, way higher because that's what they obviously believe is going to happen or else they wouldn't be purchasing this. And July, we're green so far. I know we're only a few days in. I get it. But we've only had 1 month of outflows ever. That was March. Every other month has been positive. This is institutional money. Buying XRP at a time where the typical lemming retail speculator has capitulated. There's also this headline, by the way. XRP has always experienced a relief bounce or the start of a bull run in July since 2020. And that is interesting data. It actually showed this from CryptoRank the other day, but it's worth repeating here. Look at all these green Julys. We've had 13 Julys in the history of XRP, and 8 of them have been green, and then five red. That's it. So, and I say 8 now. Obviously, July hasn't completed, but we are in the green right now. But recently, it's true. Like there has been, and you could say, okay, fine. 2023. One of the reasons there was obviously we got the XRP legal clarity we were looking for from the SEC v. Ripple lawsuit, but still. So historic precedent here. You kind of have some crummy Junes, and then July just kind of takes off. So we'll see. I mean, and also if this is the bottom, I mean, it's plausible, sure. This could be the moment where that finally freaking happens. Now, this is another piece of information to me that just screams bottom. Like, it could not be more obvious. Again, the headline here, XRP just printed its lowest monthly RSI ever. Here's what history says could come next. And this is a big piece of data. Okay, relative strength index, all-time lows. This is the most oversold XRP has been in its entire freaking history. XRP recently posted the lowest monthly relative strength index reading in its entire history amid the steep June 2026 price crash. Specifically, in June 2026, our XRP's monthly RSI closed at 40.59 after the price dropped by 21.97% during the month. This decline marked XRP's biggest monthly loss since February 2025 and showed how strong the recent downward pressure has been. The RSI level of 40.59 is especially important because it marks XRP's steepest ever monthly reading, even lower than what XRP recorded during major bearish periods, including the COVID crash in March 2020 and the Terra ecosystem collapse in May 2022. Folks, think about this. We had FTX, we had the pandemic, we had the Terra ecosystem falling apart, and this moment in time is way more intense in terms of being oversold than any of those, and that is wild to me. It's crazy to say. Anyway, interestingly, XRP has managed to stay above the pivotal $1 price, so far as the time of recording this price level, despite the deeply oversold RSI. Notably, the price closed June at $1.03 so far in July 2026. XRP has seen a slight bounce to $1.05, but the RSI remains weak at 40.97 at press time. This suggests that while the price has stabilized a bit, momentum is still low. Well, yeah, I understand that. That's fair to note too. But this is always what happens before you get the burst. It slows down, the volatility decreases, the range of volatility decreases. There's less volume, less liquidity, and then bam, it just takes off. So I'll not be surprised to see that happen here. Very obviously, folks, the best is yet ahead. For kudos to you for paying attention. For anybody that's paying attention, it is disgustingly obvious that we are going to go on a truly historic run when this thing starts. It'll be the first time that XRP's entered price discovery since 2018. Better part of a decade at this point. It's great that we've seen new all-time highs for XRP. I mean, I certainly feel pretty damn vindicated after being told it was going to zero during the SEC lawsuit. So very vindicated to see new all-time highs. But what I'm really waiting for, what I've always been waiting for, ever since it peaked in early 2018, for that market cycle, I've been waiting for XRP to enter price discovery again. It couldn't happen 5 years ago during alt season because of the lawsuit. So we've had precisely 0 chances for XRP to prove itself, but it's coming up now. All the macro factors indicate this is the time to be excited. And fine, nothing's ever guaranteed, but every single time we've had conditions, macro conditions as they are right now, it has always led to an alt season. And I frankly do not believe this time will be different. I'm not a financial advisor. You should not buy or sell anything because if anything I say are right, that would be a very, very, very bad idea. Until next time, to the moon, Lambo.